Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the channel. Happy Thursday, everybody. I hope your day and your week are going very well so far. We've got a new day, which of course means a new NBA player prop video to share with you guys. But first, as always, people, please make sure to go ahead and hit the subscribe button, hit that like button, and drop a comment down below. It helps the channel grow, and it really does mean a ton to us. With a new day comes some new opportunities to go ahead and make some money. I have 3 NBA player props to go ahead and share with you guys in today's NBA slate. If you guys have watched my last couple of videos, I do want to offer my apologies. Again, I am still battling this damn flu. From an energy standpoint, I'm actually feeling a little bit better today. You know, from an energy standpoint, like I can actually get up out of bed and want to actually move around a little bit. I'm still down horrendous. I'm still battling demons over here, so please bear with me if I do still seem a little off in my voice and my mannerisms and everything. We are still battling the flu over here, but we are trending in the right direction. I do want to give a quick thank you to everybody who has been sending their well wishes and get well soons. I really do appreciate that, and I wouldn't be doing these videos while I'm sick if I didn't truly love doing it for you guys. So, you know, yeah, it's been a struggle trying to get videos out and talking for an extended period of time when, you know, talking in general has been a challenge. But I love what I do, and I love making videos for you guys, so I'm happy to power through and push through. All right, one more thing, quick little recap of last night's videos before we dive into today's 3 picks. Jumping on over to GuyBostonSports.com, and overall, guys, we had another pretty solid flu game performance there. We gave out 4 player props in yesterday's slate. We went 3-1 overall. We missed the mark completely on the Rudy Gobert prop. That one, he wasn't even close. Sorry about that, unfortunately. Kept us from a 4-0 sweep, but overall 3-1. We had a nice little plus money play there with the Nick Richards under, which was definitely a sweat, as was the Io DeSunma under. Cashed both the unders, but my God, was I sweating my ass off. Not just because I was sick and had a fever, but because those were some sweaty picks. But regardless, they were winners. So 3-1 last night. We won 1.92 units yesterday. Overall this year in our single bet category, we are now 121 and 103, up 5.64 units on the season. And honestly, the one positive I can take away from this whole flu being sick experience is that we've actually been winning a pretty good amount of picks. And the 2 flu game videos I've done, we're now 7-2 this week on Monday and Wednesday's videos combined. 7-2 this week in our single bet category. So we've actually been doing pretty well. So let's go ahead and see if we can't carry that positive momentum into today's picks. Only got 3 picks today, but they're pretty solid ones. I think we got a sweep on our hands here. Who knows? All right, guys, let's head on over to the outlier screen here, guys. Our first pick in today's slate comes from the Atlanta Hawks Cleveland Cavaliers game, 7 p.m. tip-off. We are rocking with Zachary Risachet of the Atlanta Hawks, the rookie, over 12.5 points plus rebounds. I do apologize if I did not pronounce his name wrong. If you guys have been watching these videos for some time now, you know name pronunciations are not exactly my best. Zachary Risachet, I think that's how you say it. The little accent on there. Pretty good data on here, this one, guys. Pretty good data overall. You see 7 of his last 10 games, Risachet has cashed this over. It's a 70% hit rate, 7 of his last 10 games, averaging 15 points plus rebounds per game across his last 10 games. Even if you want to go ahead and stretch the data out to the entire season view for Risachet, 65% hit rate on this over, 26 out of 40 games. He's gone ahead and cashed this, averaging 14.08 points plus rebounds per game. So not too shabby at all. And the head-to-head data obviously limited because he is a rookie, but he has already played Cleveland twice this year, and he cashed the over in both meetings with the Cavaliers this season. That is a 100% hit rate, averaging 16.5 points plus rebounds per game across their previous 2 meetings. Now, these were both a little earlier in the year. They were on a back-to-back back in November. Back in November. Not a lot of minutes played too, which is honestly I think a good thing for us here. See 17 minutes in the first meeting, 20.6 minutes, in the second meeting. Not a ton of shots. Like I said, the volume is not really extremely high. That being said, the line isn't that high. 12.5 points plus rebounds is a pretty low line here, so we don't need him to play a ton or take a ton of shots or do a ton of anything in particular to go ahead and cash this over. Now, a couple of things to look at here. We have the insights provided by Outlier. Risachet has exceeded 12.5 points plus rebounds in 13 of his last 17 games on the road, averaging 15.1 points plus rebounds per game across his last 17 road games. That is a 76% hit rate across his last 17 road games, so some pretty good data there. And from a matchup standpoint, now overall this year, Cleveland versus small forwards 8th in points allowed, 6th in rebounds allowed. So not a great matchup. And if we head on over to the NBA dashboard over on GuyBostonSports.com, you can see over the last 7 games, Cleveland, they actually still really solid defensively in terms of points allowed to the small forward position. Fourth, only giving up not many points per game. You do see the rebounding numbers, though, have dropped a little bit. You see back over here, you see they were the 6th best team in the NBA this year overall in terms of rebounds allowed to the small forward position, giving up 6.9. Pause for the applause. 6.9 rebounds per game overall to small forwards this year. Over the last 7 games, though, 20th. So that number has increased, which is obviously good for us. So the matchup isn't necessarily the best of all time, but we do know that he cashed it both times he's played this Cleveland team earlier this year. And there's one other big data point, the last big data point that I'm going to use to go ahead and sell you guys on this prop here. And that is the injury report here for Atlanta. So Bogdanovic is reportedly out at the time of recording for a personal reason. Obviously, it was announced not too long ago that Jalen Johnson is out for the rest of the season with a left shoulder surgery. One of the cool things about Outlier is you can put in specific filters for specific scenarios. So we can go ahead and look at Ricochet's numbers this season without Bogdanovic and without Jalen Johnson, those two in particular. And the data is really solid. You see overall this year, a 100% hit rate on this over when those two guys are out of the lineup. He's averaging 16.5 points plus rebounds per game in those 4 games without Jalen Johnson and without Bogdanovic. The most recent data point here, just a couple days ago on January 27th versus Minnesota, he had 11 points and 7 rebounds in that game. So his numbers do go up. His minutes played goes up. He's averaging about 27.4 minutes per game when those two don't play. His shot attempts go up. 3-pointers, rebound chances, everything increases. So that's a good thing for us here in this matchup. And you also add to the fact that Cleveland is on the second night of a back-to-back. I think we got a pretty solid matchup on our hands here for Ricochet. And it's minus 130 odds over on FanDuel, so not too bad for the value. We are about to hit the 7-minute mark in today's video, guys. So if you are still watching, please comment 7 down below. As always, we appreciate those who watch all the way through each and every one of our videos, and especially this week with me being sick. I promise you guys that was not acting. That was genuinely a cough that I couldn't hold back any longer. But I appreciate you guys this week for obviously riding out despite me being sick and obviously the inconsistent schedule when it comes to like the time of release for these videos. You guys have been awesome, all the well wishes and everything. So comment 7 down below if you are still watching today's video. All right, guys, before I have a serious cough attack here, let's finish these last 2 picks in today's video. Our next pick comes from the Rockets-Grizzlies game, 9:30 p.m. tip-off. We're going Jalen Green of the Houston Rockets over 30.5 points plus rebounds plus assists, which we're getting for minus 105 over on DraftKings. It is available on multiple sportsbooks for varying odds. Now, the recent data is pretty solid on this prop for Jalen Green. The overall data is okay. You look at the last 10-game data here for Jalen Green. 7 of his last 10 games, he's cashed the over as a 70% hit rate, averaging 32 points plus rebounds plus assists per game across his last 10 games. Even if you go ahead and stretch that data out a little bit here to the last 20 games, it's still pretty solid. 65% hit rate, 13 of his last 20 games. He's cashed the over, averaging 31.15 points plus rebounds plus assists per game. You see here, Jalen Green had a really good run at the beginning of this month. He had actually cashed this over in 8 straight games going into the January 20th matchup with the Detroit Pistons. And then since then, a couple of misses here and there, but still a couple of cashes as well. Again, the overall numbers, not great. 48% hit rate overall this season for Jalen Green. 22 out of 46 games he's cashed the over, averaging 28.35 points plus rebounds plus assists per game in general this season. A lot of red in the first half of the season. You see a lot more green of late here for Jalen Green. Green for green, that's what we like to see here. And the head-to-head data, pretty solid as well. You see 4 of the last 7 meetings against the Memphis Grizzlies, he has cashed the over. It's a 57% hit rate, averaging 28.71 points plus rebounds plus assists per game across the last 7 meetings. Now, that average is obviously on the lower side. He had a couple of lower scoring affairs last year against this Memphis team. Actually, overall this season, it's been really solid. He's played Memphis 3 times this year with 100% hit rate against the Grizzlies this season. October 25th, he cashed it. January 9th, he cashed it. And January 13th was one of his best games of the year in his career, honestly. 42 points, 3 rebounds, and 4 assists against the Grizzlies back on January 13th, earlier this month. We also have the insights provided by Outlier. Jalen Green has exceeded 30.5 points plus rebounds plus assists in 10 of his last 13 games. averaging 33.3 points plus rebounds plus assists per game across his last 13 games. That is a 77% hit rate. So pretty good numbers again in general. Over his last 13, 15 games or so, Jalen Green has looked really, really solid. From a matchup standpoint, overall this season, guys, Memphis 16th in points allowed to shooting guards, 13th in rebounds, and 20th in assists to shooting guards in general. That's if we take the entire data for the entire season into consideration. But if we move on over to the dashboard over on GuyBostonSports.com, you see over the last 7 games, the Grizzlies defense versus shooting guards 29th in points allowed, so giving up a ton of points to the shooting guard position, the second most in the NBA to shooting guards over the last 7 games. The rebounding numbers have definitely improved over the last 7 games, but the assists and 3-pointers allowed obviously are not in a great range. So still seems like we got a pretty good matchup on our hands here for Jalen Green against this Grizzlies team. Really good spot here for minus 105 odds too. Really good value. Listen, guys, I'll be the first one to admit I'm a baby when it comes to being sick. You can ask my girlfriend. You can ask my family. I've been this way since I was a kid. I'm a baby when it comes to being sick, but this shit, I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. This sucks certified ass. But, guys, we have one more. Jesus Christ. One more pick to get through in today's video. I swear I was feeling better before I started recording, and then I guess, talking for an extended period of time, it just brought all the negative feelings back. My third and final pick in today's slate comes from the Magic Blazers game. 10 p.m. tip-off tonight. We're going Franz Wagner of the Orlando Magic over 33.5 points plus rebounds plus assists. We're getting this one for minus 115 odds over on DraftKings. We roll with Franz for his rebounds and assists prop on Monday, and it did cash for us. So in Franz, we trust here. The data of recent is solid. 7 of his last 10 games, he's cashed the over. The 70% hit rate, averaging 37.1 points plus rebounds plus assists across his last 10 games. Now, obviously, he missed over a month, almost 2 months of time with an injury, so it's hard to take all the data from this year into serious consideration. He has played now 3 games since returning from injury, and he's cashed the over in 2 of those 3 games. So he came back on January 23rd versus the same Portland team. He did fail to cash the over the last time these 2 teams played. It was a blowout in the favor of Portland in that game, and he didn't play a lot of minutes, only 24.4 minutes in that game. He did take a healthy amount of shots still, so the opportunities were still there, but it was his first game back. You could clearly see there's a little bit of rust on him, and that whole Orlando team did not have a very good night that night against Portland. So second time around now in a week where they've played, I think Franz will have a much better performance this time around against the Blazers. And again, he has cashed it in each of the last 2 matchups versus Detroit and Miami. From a head-to-head data standpoint, again, he has failed to cash the over in each of his previous 3 meetings with the Blazers dating back to last year. But honestly, it is a really solid matchup. And even overall in 2024, you see a 61% hit rate on the over for Wagner here. 17 out of 28 games, he's cashed the over, averaging 35.68 points plus rebounds plus assists per game in general this season. And then there's the insights provided by Outlier. Wagner has exceeded 33.5 points plus rebounds plus assists in 7 of his last 8 games, averaging 39 points plus rebounds plus assists per game across his last 8 games, an 88% hit rate. Again, hard to take all that into consideration because some of those games fall back into late November, early December, before he had gotten hurt. And also, they didn't have Paolo at that time either, so that also kind of factors in here. But the 3 games since returning from injury, he has cashed in 2 of those 3 games. And the 1 game he didn't, he played less than 25 minutes against this very same Portland team. But this matchup is just too sweet to ignore. Look at the right side of the screen here. Overall this year, Portland versus the small forward position, 24th in points, 27th in rebounds, and 30th in assists allowed to the small forward position across the board. So really good numbers from a matchup standpoint for Franz Wagner here. And if we refer over the dashboard over on Guy Boston Sports, over the last 7 games, those numbers have only increased in our favor from the overall season views for Portland. See versus small forwards over the last 7 games for Portland here. 30th in points allowed, which is obviously a nice increase. 24th in rebounds and 29th in assists. So across the board, really solid matchup on our hands here for Franz Wagner. And minus 115 odds too. Seems like pretty good value across the board. All right, guys, that is it for me today. One more time, thank you very much for watching. Please make sure to go ahead and hit the subscribe button, hit that like button, and drop a comment down below. I apologize. I know the video is coming out later than normal. I also apologize for me having to cough or stop or just sound goofy throughout the video due to my voice being changed by this freaking illness. Appreciate you guys for supporting me and all the get well soon wishes and all that stuff. I'll be back tomorrow. We got Freaky Friday tomorrow. Solid Freaky Friday 5-leg parlay coming your way. Can't wait to that. Hopefully we're a little healthier tomorrow and don't have to keep stopping every 3 seconds for a cough break. But guys, Until then, hope you're all winners. Let's go ahead and make some money. Enjoy your Thursday. Have a good one.